Please welcome in Sportsnet's Eric Engels, Montreal. We do have questions from the Habs fans. Hey, Eric, happy summer, man. I appreciate you finding us the time. If you don't mind, our poll question is, should the NHL take a break? But 61% of people saying yes. How would you vote on that?
Should they take a break like right now?
Should it at all? I feel like it doesn't take a break, the NHL. How would you answer that? Should it take a break or not?
I think it's going to be pretty quiet for the next few weeks, but it's a dangerous thing to be saying right now as a reporter who's off for a few weeks. All of a sudden something happens and boom. Rod, I'm not going to lie. I'm sitting here just hoping you'll stand up and go dunk on one of those hoops. I know you're tall enough to do it.
How about that?
Yeah, well, listen, and you could do it too, man. You are fly. Like I said, you're looking real good. When I saw you in the press box in Sunrise, I'm like, what's your secret, man? I don't know if it's diet or you're hitting the gym or what you're doing, but I like it. I'm going to jump into the fan question. Chad in Lethbridge wants to know, with CP31 done forever now, who will be the next one? And my guess is there will never be the next one. But who is the future in the crease of the Montreal Canadiens, Eric?
Yeah, I don't know if you want to put anybody in the same category as Carey Price before they've started their career, but I think Canadiens fans are hopeful that Jacob Fowler will be the guy who steps in, and obviously had a great season in college last year and just has a kind of winning pedigree at the other levels of hockey. So I think people assume that once he ascends to NHL level, he'll be able to kind of not necessarily fill Price's shoes, but be a legitimate number one goalie. But look, Sam Montembeault has done a great job coming in. Caden Primo, who a lot of people were giving up on despite having a very similar college record to the one Jacob Fowler is in the middle of authoring, the point being, it takes to like 25, 26 until you really know what you have in net. And even if Jacob Fowler comes out of a stellar college career, hits the professional ranks, has a couple of skids along the way, just be careful what you say. Like I think people look at Devin Levi in Buffalo and assume he's got to be ready right away and get like it just takes time. It takes until they hit like 26 years old before you really know. And Montembeault is a perfect example, right? Like he was in Florida, people gave up on him. He was lost on waivers when he came into Montreal because they had Price injured, and people were looking at him like he's not an NHL goalie. And a year later, they were begging the Canadiens to make him the starter. So just goaltending's voodoo, man. Like it's very dangerous to project too far ahead.
That's a great point. You mentioned two of those guys, Montembeault and Primo. Was Jake Allen ever expected to be that guy, or was he just acquired to be a backup and now he's gone?
He was always supposed to be the support staff, right? Like bring those two guys along, give them a bit of a parachute up top for to play games, to split games, and to show them the way of how to be a professional in the NHL. And I don't know if there was anybody better suited for that, as Jake came in as a backup to Carey Price and then took on the kind of 1B role with Montembeault and Primo and bringing them along. Like they're better off for having been around him for a couple of years, that's for sure. And you could see the impact on and off the ice. Jake will do a great job in New Jersey now. Even with Jacob Markstrom there, I think, there's enough games for Jake to play to make an impact on the ice. What he'll do for that team off the ice will be enormous because they're still a young group.
Eric, you covered every Habs game. You're with them every day. How big of a step forward did they take this past season? And how much further can they go this next season? Are they playoff yet or not? Because they're so young.
Yeah, I think, when you assess steps forward, you want to be able to attach results to them. And that's a more difficult process for a team that's 2 years entrenched in a rebuild. We have to pull at somewhat intangible things rather than the results to be able to make the case that the Canadiens took a big step forward last year, because they finished in a pretty similar place in the standings, bottom five, and the results weren't markedly different aside from 10 points in the standings that didn't get them any further up the chain, really. But you saw so much progress in their shaping of their identity under Marty St. Louis, the way they want to play, the way they want to present themselves, the program, the culture, the development of the individuals and the team concepts. There was a ton of progress last year, and that was the value of covering it on a day-to-day beat, is being able to kind of pinpoint those little things that defy what you see in the results and be able to make people understand where they're growing. I don't know going into this year if you can use the same paradigm. I think there will have to be some results attached to the process. The process really became healthy last year. Now it must lead to some better results despite the roster being relatively unchanged. And that's going to be a really interesting dynamic to follow this year, because I think Kent Hughes, Jeff Gorton, the guys in charge, Marty St. Louis, they all want to take a step forward. The players who are there absolutely want to take a step forward. They feel there's been organic growth in the team, in the way they play, and in the individuals. Now they have to prove it, though.
Man, it's awesome. And my last question for you is regarding that, the honeymoon for Martin St. Louis, because it's different than every other team. Going back to Dick Irvin Sr., they love the local guys. Mario Tremblay, Guy Carbonneau, now Martin St. Louis, right? But the leash doesn't last forever. They're still on the honeymoon, I sense, with Martin St. Louis.
Yeah, and I don't think he's done anything to take them out of it. I think the fans, because Marty does such a great job of expressing himself on a daily basis with us, have a pretty unique insight and window into the way he thinks about things and why it makes sense and why he's the man for the job. I think patience in general for the process here will be tested this year, not just for the coach, for the players, for management, for everybody involved. Because, the only thing a fan really has to be excited about in a rebuild, which they're past the first couple of phases in, is the idea that you're moving in a direction that brings you closer to where you want to go. And so if Canadiens fans don't see that, and they're seeing it a little less off the ice, right? Like, they're excited that Ivan Demidov is now a Canadian and he'll be here in a year, and they're excited about Michael Hage getting drafted 21st overall, but they also didn't see much movement in the market, and they're wondering if there will be any between now and the beginning of the season. I personally think there will be, despite Kent Hughes managing expectations very well on that front to not pigeonhole himself. But, the patience that they have shown, which has been remarkable because they're knowledgeable fans and they know what they're trying to build here.
Yeah.
It will be tested this year to varying degrees for everybody involved. And no matter how much people love Marty St. Louis, it will be tested with him too.
Oh, yeah. You can't fool those fans. you can't. It's not like the Sun Belt states. I guess my last one, was there a backstory on Celine Dion coming on stage to announce the pick? That was kind of, I'm watching on TV that you could hear the, oh, in the room. Was there a backstory on that?
Well, just the Canadiens explained, like, the NHL had told all the teams, we're at the Sphere. We want some excitement. If you can think of anybody who's a guest, celebrity, fan of the team, whatever it is, that you can get involved in this process, we encourage you to do it. And the Canadiens, we were on a trip to Vegas early last season, and Celine Dion was actually at the game with her kids and came to meet Marty St. Louis. She was downstairs. We were talking with Chantal Maccabé, who's the VP of the Canadiens PR staff, a former reporter, a great reporter. And, Celine knew Chantal and said, would you like to come meet our coach and this and that? So the connection was kind of built there. And then at the draft, I think just one of the other PR staffers, Charles, who works for the team, basically said, like, maybe we could ask Celine if she'd be willing to do it. And I think they wanted to keep it under wraps. Otherwise, maybe she wouldn't do it. So they managed to pull it off, and she came out, and that was quite a moment.
Boy, was it great, for sure. Eric, thanks for the time. And, man, always enjoy seeing you. Keep up the great work. Enjoy whatever summer you can.
I will be enjoying, as you can see. I'm in a good place right now, and I think it'll be peaceful for the next couple of weeks, and then we'll see what comes.
Good for you, man. Enjoy. Eric Engels of Sportsnet Montreal and sportsnet.ca.